Thank you, Bert. Again, on this Veterans Day, I just want to say thank you to all our veterans for your service to our country and for answering the call to duty. These freedoms we enjoy today are because of you and your service and all across this nation, and for that we say thank you. It's been said that if you work in public safety, you're not doing it for the income, but you're doing it for the outcome. And the outcome is a chance to help people or just make a difference in someone's life, or it could be to make your community a better and safer place to live and raise your family. This next group of people we recognize are true heroes of this community. They have a combined total of over 140 years of service to Statesboro and Bulloch County. And what they've done for this community, their outcome has truly made a difference. Since our last appreciation dinner, this group of public safety heroes have gained their angel wings. We'll now call on each department head as we join and recognize and honor the service of this elite group of great men and women. From the Statesboro Police Department, Chief Mike Broadhead, as we recognize and honor Sergeant James Jones, Patrolman Bobby Staggs, and Major Scott Brunson. From the Statesboro Fire Department, we call Assistant Chief Bobby Douglas. From the Statesboro Fire Department, we recognize the service of Fireman Chris Applebrook and his family. From the Bulloch County Fire Department, we call on Chief Chris Ivey, as we recognize Fireman Darrell Brazil and Fireman Stephen Champion. From the Brooklyn Police Department, we call on Chief Gary Roberts and the family of Lieutenant Randy Stockport. Bulloch County MS Director Doug Vickers, as we recognize Michael Noel, ask his family to come forward. And from the Bulloch County Sheriff's Department, we call on Sheriff Noel Brown and the families of Joseph Harville and Mr. Eddie Hutchins. We thank these men and women for their service. As you can see by the turnout in this room, they have touched a lot of lives in this community. For that, we thank them. Thank the families for coming. We thank you.
At this time, I'd like to recognize a few people. Sitting with me on my left are John Allen Smith, Ricky Helton, I don't know where Jake went, Jake Futch. We're the ones that, there he is down there eating. Imagine that, preacher eating. But we're the ones that kind of make up the committee that heads this up every year and sends the letters out and goes and picks up the donations and try to organize the dinner with Ellis's. And while I'm thinking about Ellis's, let's give them a round of applause. She coming out? Angie, thank you and Ellis's team for helping us put this on every year and doing all the cooking for us. We do appreciate it. Let's give them another round. On the right side is three guys that I think everybody in this room knows. When I heard Ricky talking about the number of years of service, I looked and said, is he talking about Charles and Stan and Jackie? Because they probably put in close to 100 years themselves in law enforcement, public service, fire department, rescue. But these three guys are on our nominating committee. When the chiefs send me in the resumes of the people from their department that they would like to select for the public servant award of the year, I turn around and give it to these three guys. These three guys meet. This year, I think we met twice or three times.
Because we didn't do what you told us to do.
But they came back with a list, and I told them to go back and meet again and read my instructions. So anyway, I do want to recognize Stan York, former chief of police here in Statesboro, Charles Sykes, head of the GBI here in Statesboro, and Charles, I'm not sure where else, but here in Statesboro. Jackie Stringer, who's now Bulloch County Commissioner. Jackie retired from Statesboro Fire Department as a volunteer and was a member of the rescue team back then with the fire department, now with EMS. So I do appreciate them. Let's give them a round of applause. And this time I'm going to ask Jackie to come up and introduce the award winners for this year. Jackie?
Thank you, Bert. It's truly an honor for me to be up here amongst all these great public servants to be able to do this. It's a very small thing for us to do this, but I'm glad to be able to recognize everybody for all y'all do in Bulloch, for the citizens of Bulloch County and the state. I'm going to ask the chiefs to come up and to recognize their nominee and say something about them, and then we'll go around front and bring the nominee up and give them their award, and then everybody stay up here. We'll line up across the front and get a picture. We're going to start with our Sheriff Noel Brown, please.
No, I don't really need one. Can I do mine now?
Yeah.
Listen, the first thing I want to say is thank all of you for your service. It takes every one of us, it takes a village here in Bulloch County to take care of our citizens. We usually narrow it down to one that does something a little extra, When I say that, something above the call of duty, putting their life on the line to protect lives. And this young man I want to talk about why he wanted to come to the Bulloch County Sheriff's Office. I'll never figure out, but I guess it's a soldier's mentality that I'm looking at. He was airborne with the Rangers. When I say it was airborne unit, with the Army Rangers. And this young man decided he would grace us at the Bulloch County Sheriff's Office with his talents and his love of service. I'll talk about a soldier here for a minute. I guess he looked at other jobs he wanted to do or look into, and probably more that would have been where he wasn't in the line of fire, but he couldn't get out of that uniform. He said, I want to serve. He said, I want to put on Bulloch County Sheriff's Office uniform and work for the sheriff in Bulloch County. He started out in our jail, and right off the bat, we figured out he was sure enough one we wanted to keep. The young man that was brought into the back decided he was going to jump over the booking desk and get out toward the door there to head out toward 301, and he single-handedly took him down, subdued him, and then got him under control and back into a safe. Well, seeing that, we said, you know what, that's some good road patrol material right there. He's already stepped up to plate. So talking with the young man, he wanted to go off to the police academy, which we sent him to, and excel that and come back. And then he started to work the road. We noticed that he had a good bit of expertise with that sidearm and that long rifle and that shotgun. So he become a member of the Sheriff's Emergency Response Team and has excelled at that. Earlier this year, he had a chance to kind of put a lot of stuff that he'd been through in his life and his past, and also on the road to the Sheriff's Office to a test that involved several different agencies, right along to the last minute of an investigation by the GBI. The story goes to Untitled Chapter, where a young lady was taken hostage against her will, kidnapped, if you will, by a maniac, a fool, that tore through several counties and ended up on the interstate here in Bulloch County. Several agencies took chase, State Patrol initiated. The young man in this room right here was under fire by this gentleman who was fired out of that vehicle. Everybody working together. Finally, with some good pit maneuver, got him into the ditch and off the road. This young man that was in that vehicle was not through fighting. He tore out of it with gun in hand, the female in hand, went around that vehicle and headed toward a trailer with people inside of it, occupants, residences. Everybody on scene did what they needed to do. Yes, he opened fire on them. They opened fire also back at him. The young man I'm talking about that I'm very proud of tonight switched from a handgun real quickly to a long rifle. Found an opening at where this offender, if you will, or scumbag took his place behind a tree. The female had torn away from him and run away. This young man lined up his sights and put it right to the cranial vault, which is the head on the subject, stopping the threat. And it was with great honor and love toward my office and this young man that I selected Stephen Herman, Deputy with Bulloch County Sheriff's Office, as the one for our nomination on the public servant here in Bulloch County for 2021. Come on up, Stephen.
Thank you, Sheriff. We're going to call on the Bulloch County Fire Department Chief, Chris Ivey, please.
Good evening. I sure can't talk that, but I'll talk for a few minutes. We were blessed back in 2008 to start a full-time fire department, and continued to grow until 2017, 2018, when the commissioner finally made a decision to give us some more full-timers. But nonetheless, the volunteers is the backbone and the heart of this department. And every year, Mr. Bird and his team puts on this great event and it's always hard to just choose one. And this year, we actually ended up choosing 3 at the last minute, and those 3 were the 3 that we unfortunately lost this year, 2 to COVID and 1 to heart attack. And those are firefighter Daryl Brazil, Lieutenant Chris Appleby, and support firefighter Steve Champion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Ivy. Now we come to the next award, and I'm gonna call up Doug Vickers and Jason South. Also, please. Y'all can share this, or we'll call it Randy Newman also.
Go ahead. Yeah, down here, but he made it.
That's right.
This year's nominee for the Bulloch County Public Safety Award is Bobby Ivy. Mr. Ivy never worked at Bulloch EMS, nor has he gone through the first responder school. There are, however, some acts of courage that transcend departmental boundaries. On May 10th, 2021, at 1500 hours, Officer Ivy was traveling on Burkhalter Road when he encountered a vehicle that had struck a pine tree. Major damage to the vehicle was obvious at first glance. Right away, he also noticed flames coming from the front of the vehicle. Officer Ivy reacted without hesitation, arriving at the vehicle with no protective clothing. When he arrived at the vehicle, he found a 27-year-old woman still behind the steering wheel. With no regard for his own safety, Officer Ivy pulled out the victim to safety. The young woman had numerous traumatic injuries, but the medics on scene were surprised to find no burns. Excuse me, I get emotional with this. Bulloch County EMS takes pride in putting the well-being of our patients first. We at Bulloch County EMS feel Officer Ivy showed the same courage and dedication to patient safety that we strive for. Therefore, Bulloch County Code Enforcement and Portal Police Officer Bobby Ivy is this year's Bulloch County EMS Public Safety Award nominee.
All right, Bobby. Y'all turn around so you get a picture of all 3 of you. Doug, turn around. Come on down here, Bobby, Lana.
Next, we're gonna call on Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the agent in charge, Chris DeMarco.
I'd like to first thank all the volunteers and generous sponsors that have given their time, effort, and money and dedication for tonight for this to happen. Thanks again. Like I said, I'm Chris DeMarco, I'm the Special Agent in charge of the GBI Statesboro office. Also with me is Lindsay Smith, the Assistant Special Agent in charge, and Special Agent Christian Johnson. This year we have nominated Agent Johnson for the Public Servant of the Year award. Just a little background on Agent Johnson. He's been employed with GBI since 2019, and since his appointment as an agent, he's been assigned to the Region 5 Statesboro office. Prior to his employment with the GBI, Agent Johnson has worked for the Dalton Police Department as a patrol officer in Dalton, Georgia for approximately 4 years. Agent Johnson was nominated due to his work as the case agent regarding the murder of Bobby Kicklighter, an elderly man who was mistakenly killed in a plot to take out a corrections officer who was interrupting a multi-million-dollar contraband ring inside the prison system. The case has been very complex and is currently being adjudicated. Now, getting recognized by your peers is an honor, but getting recognized by the family of the victim is special. And I'd like to share a letter from the Kicklighter family that was actually sent to Director Reynolds just a few weeks ago. I think it summarizes the impact that Agent Johnson has had on the family better than anything that I can actually say. Director Reynolds, I hope all is going good for you. Our father, Bobby Kicklighter, was murdered in Glenville, Georgia on January 30th of 2021. That was one night that our family will never forget. Our family has always been very close and had many good times together. I'm not sure what you have read about our father, but he was a great man. He was a veteran of the United States Air Force and retired after 37 years of federal service as the finance officer at Fort Stewart. He was many things to many people in Glenville. He was a special husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather for our family. We are blessed to have called him Daddy for many years. The morning of the murder, our family was able to have some of your agents come to our father's house and start working the case. Your agents had very little information or evidence to work with. I know many hours went into the investigation. We also know many agents and other support professionals had worked several parts of the case. Our family would like to thank each agent and support personnel for their work to help solve this case. From the start of the investigation, we have been working very closely with Special Agent Christian Johnson from Region 5. We as a family would like to give Christian a special thanks for everything he has done. His many phone calls, emails, visits, and meetings helped our family through this very tough time. Christian is a very special person, and our family will never be able to repay him for his service. Christian treated our family with care and kept us informed with GBI-approved information when he could. Christian also kept our hopes up after each contact. Please pass this thanks to everyone with the GBI. Good luck in your future, and thanks for your leadership to a great group of people. A big many thanks to members of Region 5 and all they have done. God bless each of you, Frank Kicklighter and the family of Bobby Kicklighter. So that is why we have nominated Christian Johnson for Public Servant of the Year. Christian.
Next, we're gonna call on the Georgia Southern University Department of Public Safety, Clay and the Chief Laura, please.
Hello. So this year, Georgia Southern Department of Public Safety has nominated Chief Laura McCullough to be the Public Servant Officer of the Year. I first met Chief McCullough in 2009 when she hired me as a patrol officer. At that time, she was a captain of investigations. You could tell from the start that she was the go-to person. She could fix anything. She did everything for the department. She handled all of the day-to-day operations, even as captain of investigations as well, and did all the investigations. She went from captain to major when Chief Russell was promoted to chief. And again, she was the go-to person. If you had a problem, you went to her. She fixed it. She served as major until 2016 when she was hired as a chief. At that point, I really knew how smart she was because she hired me as a deputy chief. So during her tenure as chief of police, she has weathered many, many obstacles. She's overseen the consolidation of 2 universities, to include the police department, the loss of 2 officers, Frank Roach and Tristan Clemens, a global pandemic, the shutdown, almost complete shutdown of Georgia Southern. During the whole pandemic episode, she was not required to be there. Serving as chief, she was allowed to telework or work from home, but she never missed a day. She was there from day in to day out. Not only does she do that, but every special detail that Georgia Southern Police has, she is there. She doesn't get paid for it. She shows up, she works it, just like every other officer. She's the first person that'll get in an intersection and direct traffic, and she will not be relieved. If somebody goes out there to relieve her, she's like, I got it, go do something else. She's still the go-to person for everything. Anytime I have a problem, I go straight to her. We work through it, and she basically, she won't give you the answer. She makes you come up with the answer on your own, which is good. She looks out for everybody in the department above herself. She wants everyone under her to succeed. She wants no recognition whatsoever. She is the one that tries to give recognition to everybody. She wants you to take her place. She's just a great boss, and I'm proud to serve under her. So that's why we nominated her.
Next, we're gonna call on the Georgia State Patrol, Sergeant Post Commander Lee Weaver, please.
To the cooks, to the chairman, to the panel, I want to thank you for hosting this event this evening. In this community, it is truly humbling to be in a room full of heroes represented by each department here. And I just want to say congratulations to each person from your department that has been nominated this evening. So many stories being told about you guys and the women tonight is just awesome. For the State Patrol and each department, you look at somebody who exemplifies work ethic and ability to get along with others and influence others in your department. And we've nominated Trooper Ramirez to be our nominee for the year. Aaron comes to work every day, and in his short 2 years that he's been on the department, he is already an informal leader at our post. Every category that we look in activity, he's usually a leader month in and month out. He exemplifies when it comes to working, to come to work, put that uniform on, put that big hat on, and go out there and get the job done. He works crashes day in and day out without hesitation. He's always volunteering to go to details. He volunteers to go to extra training whenever he can, and I don't even know how many training hours he's already got above all the other troopers at the post this year. The stories and the events that have been talked about tonight, the one that the sheriff alluded to earlier, that was a joint effort that did start down in Tattnall County, and it would not have culminated in a positive way for the safety of the general and motoring public if it had not been for everybody out there. But the bravery and heroism of Trooper Ramirez, as he intercepted that pursuit and he followed that violator almost 30 miles up and down the interstate, performing the pit maneuver on that vehicle 4 times while exchanging gunfire going up and down the road. Aaron, he probably doesn't even like people talking about it, as humble as he is about things, but he was grazed on top of the head by one of the bullets and continued in the chase in the gunfight. And his heroism that day helped to save that young lady's life, as well as other people in this room. So I thank you for that, and I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate the way that you represent the Georgia State Patrol. So for what you do every day and for the events that have taken place, I've nominated you to be the Public Safety Servant of the Year.
Now we're gonna call the Statesboro Fire Department, Deputy Chief Bobby Duggar, please.
Thank you. As y'all can see, I'm not Tim Graham's the fire chief. He's under the weather, and I would be remiss if I didn't extend his appreciation and gratitude tonight that he couldn't be here, and for the men and women that these stories are just humbling. And I think all of us that live and work in Bulloch County and Statesboro are blessed to have the community and the public safety that we have here. Sometimes we don't see it, we take it for granted. And so it's nights like this that I just appreciate Bird and Jackie and the rest of them, John Allen, for doing this. Gives us an opportunity to see it. So tonight, the Statesboro Fire Department nominated Spencer Rowe. Spencer Rowe is a fire apparatus operator with us. He's been with us since 2013. It's hard when we start talking about firefighters because we really can't do anything ourselves. We're on the truck together, there's 3 or 4 of us, so it's hard to pick out just one guy because we work together, it's a team effort. So we picked Spencer Rowe because as the post commander kind of stated he's just a solid guy. He's that guy that if you need something done or if the problem comes up, he's gonna be the one that fixes it. You can look on to for the leadership of the shift, and it just so happens they're working tonight. The battalion chief's here and the shifts are here. FAO Rowe began his career in 2013. He went through firefighter training through the Albany Technical College. He worked diligently to obtain numerous certifications since joining the department. He was promoted in 2018 to his current position and is currently serving as an interim company officer on lieutenant for B shift. He's earned numerous rewards over the years that include personal and unit citations as well as serving on numerous department committees. Like I said, this guy, Spencer, he's that guy that you can go to for anything. He knows about the trucks. He has a good understanding of the fire service. He's a 2nd or 3rd generation fireman. He is self-motivated, dependable, and committed to serving those inside the department as well as the community. This dedication shows FAO Rowe's sincere devotion to public service and is one of the primary reasons the department feels he's an exceptional leader and will continue to be successful in any position he serves during his career. So that's why we nominated Spencer Rowe tonight. He's not able to be here due to a family obligation, so I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
We'll call the Statesboro Police Department Chief Mike Broadhead.
Thank you, everybody. I really want to take this opportunity to just express some appreciation for the other agencies that helped us save the life of the individual that we nominated this year. It's Caleb Moore. I don't want you to clap yet because I want to talk about him a little bit. I will say that Caleb and I have a blood oath from a little sweet nothing that I whispered in his ear as he was getting ready to go into the CAT scan. And I told him I'd hold off on that until his retirement party someday, but suffice to know, I know things about you. Hey, so as you guys all I'm sure know, Captain Moore was on the police motorcycle and he was responding to a call for help from another officer and was hit by a car on the way there. And for any of you who have ever been on the motor, you know that you're pretty vulnerable, and that became true for Caleb that day. He was broken pretty badly. Sheriff was one of the first people on the scene, happened right in front of the sheriff's office. And I really want to express my thanks to the sheriff himself, as well as the sheriff's office for all the help they gave us that day. Also to EMS, they truly saved his life on the road and in the back of the ambulance. And the GSP helped us escort him all the way to the hospital. We tried to get Ari back in, but the weather was bad. They felt his injuries were so serious, they tried to get a helicopter out of Fort Stewart to come. They wouldn't fly because of the weather. And at that point, it became a car caravan to downtown Savannah. And I don't know how you drive an ambulance at 110 miles an hour, but they did it, and I really appreciated them doing that. But all the way there, the community of EMS and law enforcement that showed up that day to block every street all the way to the hospital, every on-ramp on the highway all the way there, it was really a really heartwarming thing. to see. Although I have to be honest with you, I was scared to death the whole way because I couldn't imagine why they were going so fast unless Caleb was failing in the back of the ambulance. And it scared me when I pulled up the thing and they pulled him out of the back of the ambulance because I thought, and they were like, no, he's good. And I was like, what? But he wasn't good. And so the reason that we nominated Caleb is not because he got broken in half by a car. It's not because he wrecked my motorcycle. It has everything to do with the resiliency that he showed by coming back to work so quickly. You know, this accident or this crash happened in March, and you know, Caleb suffered compound fractures in that, multiple compound fractures in that crash. Injuries that take months and months to heal, required several surgeries to get him through that. And in August, he was back at work and he said, I'm getting back on the bike. And I said, nah, I don't think you're gonna do that. Let's just, you know, relax a little bit, make sure you're 100% before you get back on the bike. And we had to have a heart-to-heart about it because he was dead set on getting back on the bike and getting back to work. And I was dead set on keeping him off the bike so that he could make sure that he was 100% before he got back on. But thanks to his mental attitude, to his perseverance, and again to his resiliency, he was back on that bike by the end of August, and he's out working every day on the bike. And Caleb, I really appreciate it's honorable and humbling for me to know a guy like you who's so eager to get back to work that you do anything to make it happen. So thank you.
Chief, he's doing a great job, because he pulled my wife over there.
Now we're gonna call Aaron back, Victor Howdy.
Oh, John, how did you say anything? I'm not being trouble.
First off, I am not Victor Drawdy. Let's get that real straight. So I didn't even know I was coming to do this. But I'll tell you right now, we got the makings of a great football team up here. And I did hear Stacy say she wants you to do her eulogy, because I think you've done the best speech so far. But let me talk about my friend. Sorry. This ain't easy to do. I didn't know I was doing this. So if you don't know Matt, which I'll bet you there is nobody here probably that doesn't know Matt. So Matt, I had the honor of going to work with Harry back in 2012. Matt went to work with Harry back in 2012, about a month before I did. And I really didn't know Matt. At that time, I knew about him and heard about him. Matt started his career way back in EMS, back down in the Chatham EMS and MedStar and all those way back in the day. Went to nursing school, got his nursing license, still maintained nursing license and paramedic license. He and I met at Airyback, and I got the opportunity to begin to work with Matt. He began to fly as a nurse, and I got to fly with him some at that point. Then, a few years ago, Matt and I got made basically about permanent partners, and I've been flying with Matt now for over 3 years. So you really get to know somebody, as you know, in public service, your partner, that person that you're with on a day-to-day basis, especially in the fire service and the EMS service, your police service, you're with that person all the time. So I really got to know Matt quite well. And I got to know some of the good, got to know some of the bad. You get to know somebody's quirks. If you want to hear somebody snore through what we call paper mache walls, that's Matt. He can snore. Yeah. So he's got brand new lungs now. He probably snores even better. At the beginning of this year, January, about the end of January, Matt called me
we were on the way to work that night. We were working the night shift, the back half. And Matt said, I got this weird cough. And I'd already had COVID at the time. And he said, I got this cough. I can't get rid of it. I just keep coughing. I can't stop. I was like, well, all right, let's figure it out. Come on to work. Well, he was coughing. I said, Matt, you just need to go home. You know, you need to go get tested. So the next morning when the EMS went over there, and I think it was like one of the first tests that Brian Hendricks did for COVID. So he swabbed Matt and he was positive. Matt went to the doctor, got meds like the rest of us had done, but it started getting worse. He ended up in the ER. His breathing got worse. He ends up in ICU. And then he got intubated. So from there, you know, the prayers were already started then. So from there, he goes to Memorial, spends some time at Memorial, and Matt was this close to meeting God. So we flew Matt to the Mayo, and by the time Matt got to Mayo, his lab work, the things that we look at as medical professionals, the numbers that are on those papers today, that Matt can show them to you, Matt should not be. But let me tell you,
there's a greater power, brother.
So in that process, when he got to Mayo, he got put on ECMO. I had the privilege of being at a prayer for Caleb, where'd he go? For Caleb and for Matt, out at the Foster and Bulloch at 7 Mile Ranch. And if you don't believe in the power of prayer, you're dead wrong. Because it works. It works. So Matt, as far as I know, is still the only one in this big round world that is the recipient of a double lung transplant and also double heart bypass at the same time. They just don't do that, people. They just don't do that. But they did it for him. They did it for him. He made a recovery like doctors don't believe. When he walks back into Mayo, I mean, people started applauding for him when he walks back into Mayo. He is a walking, talking mirror. I keep telling him he needs to go on tour. Start traveling the world. If you've not gotten a chance to meet Matt, talk to Matt, please take that opportunity and take a minute and talk to Matt. His story is incredible. He is incredible. But the lady that's sitting next to him is probably more incredible, sorry Matt, more incredible than Matt, because she is a rock. If you want to meet a lady that is a wife that has been there with her husband from day 1 to day 200 and whatever until he walked back out of Mayo, you meet Renee Rogers. You want to meet a fantastic couple, you sit down and talk to those two people right there. Okay? That their relationship is unbelievable. So, with that said, I really didn't know what I was going to say. But with that said, it is my pleasure that AREVAC nominates Matt Rogers.
We'll call on Bulloch 911 Kelly Bart, please.
Good evening. Thanks to this board for this wonderful award that they're having. When I took the information back to our employees and asked them for a nomination, it didn't take long when they came back to me and said, this year we feel like that there is no one person that we can choose, that the way things have gone this past year, you know, we've had some openings, we've had some shortfalls here and there that everybody had to truly pick up the pieces together and pull us through this last year. They didn't want to nominate one person. They wanted to say that the full department was truly the ones that need to be recognized, and I do agree with that. We have had some openings, and every one of those have had to, the shifts themselves even split it up and evenly divide any open shifts that we have between them. I didn't even have to go back in there and say, hey, this person's not pulling enough, this person's pulling way too much. They went in and did it themselves. So our whole department of 911 is the recipient for this year.
You can see why Bird had to come back to us the second time and said, y'all haven't done what I asked you to do, is pick somebody. Because it was extremely difficult for us to do so. There's a saying in the military, I'm not a hero, I walk among heroes. Here in the public safety arena. Kelly's going to do something for me in just a minute and drive home a point for all of us. I'm a child of the 60s. Pretty evident by the color of my hair. And in the 60s, we had some turbulent times in this nation. We haven't now, but we survived them. But one of the things that came out of those times was a saying, law and order. Law and order. And the older I get, the more I understand it was done that way because of the alphabet, L before O. But it's first, order. You gotta have order before you have anything else in regards to our society. Before law can be administered, you've got to have order. This is a group that provides order, not only from a public safety in regards to law enforcement, but from fire and EMT and all the emergency responders in this room and in at the stations. You are providing order. This is not, Bird and them do a tremendous job. And I asked him one time, Bird, are we going to be able to do this year? And he said, yeah, we'll be able to do it. I said, how about the money? He said, money's not a problem. Every time I go back to the citizens of this community, they said, okay, here's your check. Is that enough? I'll give you some more. This is not a one-time event, and they've had several of these events on the news throughout the last couple of weeks. This is not a one-time event. It's a meal. It's great. It's socialization. It's a recognition. But this is a sign of support in this community for public service. People who support the public service, people who give Bird the money,
Every year, the people beyond that are saying, we support our public service personnel. Now, Jackie's one of our county commissioners. We have, city council, general assembly, etc. Within reason, it's not hard to get money appropriated for public service and public safety, because people recognize if you don't have that, the rest of it is nil. It's for nothing. You've got to have safety first and foremost. So show community support. So Kelly, come here just a minute, if you would. That's where it starts, where it's coming into the sheriff's department, where it's coming into Georgia Southern, where it's coming into 911, the police department, etc. 911, what is your emergency? Because people punch that number when things have order that's been lost and they need order restored. It may be a house on fire. It may be somebody's collapsed on the floor. It may be somebody in regards to a peace officer has to be present to restore order. But that's where it all starts. And that's those people, be the dispatchers, whatever entity it may be, the sheriff's office, police department, 911 are crucial to the operation of restoring order. Because they know those voices out there. And they know when those voices are under pressure. And they know when they need to kick it up a little bit in regards to getting you some help. And that's 911, that's restoring order, that's police, that's fire, that's the sheriff, that's EMSs, the ambulances, whatever. I am so proud to be in association with you, and each of this group is so proud to be in association with you. You're great Americans, and we recognize great Americans today for Veterans Day. This group are great Americans. Thank you for your service. Thank you for this. And be aware, this is just a meal. That support of you is there every day, 24 hours a day. When people pass you on the road, be it fire, be it EMT, be it police, they're looking at you. They're watching out for you. And they're good Samaritans that if they see something's not right, they'll stop and render a good Samaritan aid to you. Captain? You want to go ahead and do this? Again, the three of us, and I kid, I make light of it. I said, we report back to Bird in regards to our selection. I said, we had a couple of fist fights, but we made some decisions. You don't know how tough, well you do, you just heard all these testimonies. You know how tough it is to make a decision about the public service personnel in this arena. It's difficult. And we talk about it, and we hammer it out. And then initially we didn't do what Bird had asked us to do, pick somebody. Because we had all kind of awards we made on the side and everything else that we were going to give. And Bird does that by giving each of you a plaque that you've been nominated for the award. But finally Bird come to us and said, in a kind way, because he's a kind old man, he said, please do what I asked you to do. So we did. But in addition to that, each of us recognized you cannot overcome doubt in any form of fashion. So we said, give us a meritorious service as well, if you'd be so kind. He said, okay, I'll let you pick a meritorious service. So we did. And Laura, it's you. It's you. Laura McCullough, Chief of Georgia Southern Police Department, of years and years of service to the peace officer community. In the peace officer community, fire, EMTs, we call something OJAs, Original Jurisdiction Agencies. Statesboro PD, Bulloch County Sheriff's Office, Georgia Southern PD is an original jurisdictional agency. They have jurisdiction on the campus of Georgia Southern. The sheriff of the entire Bulloch County, the city of Statesboro, obviously for the city limits. And to operate within the regional, for a regional jurisdiction agency to operate within the regional jurisdiction agency, to operate within the regional jurisdiction agency requires cooperation. And Laura has always provided that and provided leadership in doing that. What do you need? I'll see if I can't get it out of Georgia Southern to help you out. And for that reason, we said we're going to recognize Laura today and tonight for the Public Servant Award. In the military, again, going back to my roots, if you will, there is a saying which boils down to feed the horses, then the men, officers eat last. That's a cavalry saying. And what it amounts to in the cavalry of the old days is take care of your equipment, take care of the horses, feed them, because you have to go right away. Then you take care of your men and women in the day's world. And you eat last. And Laura represents that so well. She always takes care of those under her command and those outside of her umbrella who are around. Take care of the people first, and then I'll worry about myself at some point. So, Laura, you're the first Meritorious Service Award, if you'd be so kind to come in and get it.
Okay, all three of them.
Now, you will recognize we left, that was easy. You recognize we left Jackie up here with the hard one.
This is the last award. This is the one we've been waiting on. This is the big award. It's tough to follow Charles Sykes. Whenever he gets up here, because he always said he's from another era. But it was a great honor to be part of this group to pick this. It was a tough decision. We did have to discuss things several times, but we decided we couldn't decide on one. We had to pick two people this year, and they are both exemplary in what they do, and the reason we picked them. So I'm just going to go into it, and here is the Bulloch County Outstanding Public Service Officer of the Year. There's two of them, Deputy Stephen Herndon and Captain Bobby Ivey. Thank y'all very much.
Yes, sir.
Let me say in closing how much we do appreciate each and every one of you. I told you we started this in 1978. I promised this group at the table that as long as I'm living and breathing, we're going to have it every year. We'll get the money. The money's not any problem. People ask me all the time, how do you get it? When these department heads write these letters and thank these organizations for putting this on, it's not a problem going to get the money. And if we run out, some of this table will kick in and help out. Right?
You're not going to run out.
We're not going to run out. We're not worried about that. But I want to thank these three guys, Charles, Stan, and Jackie. They do have a tough job. You can see tonight, it's a tough job to make a decision. And when they came back the first time and said, we want to do this award, we want to do this award, we want to do this award, I said, look guys, this is the Public Servant of the Year Award banquet. We can't give out 45 awards, we'll be here all night. Let's do what we said we're gonna do, and congratulations to the winners tonight, but congratulations to everybody in this room. You all could be up here receiving this award. You put your life and your life on the line every day, whether it's EMS, fire, police, state patrol, GBI, whatever. And we do appreciate it, and we appreciate every one of you coming. Thanks, and have a good night.